Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think we are pretty much all in agreement that it's only bad when it's Arsenal. Good morning, 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 and welcome to another edition of the Big Arsenal Breakfast Show. I am your host, Edwin Ash. Thank you for joining us this morning. Got a lot to get through today. We're going to do a little bit more on the Chelsea fallout. We're going to give some more flowers to David Raya, which I think are well deserved. We're going to have a little look at the set-piece agenda that's been dogging Arsenal over the last 24 hours. Remember, as I just said, it seems to be only bad when it's Arsenal who do it. Peter Schmeichel's had his say. Chris Sutton has had his say. And have a little look at that corner situation. And yeah, look ahead for the game against Brighton. We do it all over again, don't we? We're going to do it all over again. The tension, the nervousness, the craziness. Yeah, we will get into that shortly. One thing I have just noticed, though, you have to forgive me here at the Big Arsenal Breakfast Show. It's been a learning curve. And yesterday we had some technical difficulties. I'm sorry for that. And this morning it looks like we're having some technical difficulties on Twitter. So I'm just going to spend the next 10 seconds seeing if I can set up this Twitter thing and podcast you live at the same time. I'm just going to add a category here for this live broadcast and see if I can get that going. God, it's tense. Oh, it's tense. Oh, it looks like we're there. Can I post that? Yes, I can. I think I've gone and done it. Look at that. I think I've gone and done it. I think we're live. I think we're live on Twitter as well. And you can find us on Twitter, or X, as it's called. It's at Big Ass Brecky. On TikTok, you can follow us at Big Ass Breakfast. On Insta, it's Big Ass Breakfast. And on Blue Sky, it's at bigassbreakfast.bsky.social. Come and join us there. Blah, 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 blah. So let us get into today's show. So there's been a lot of talk about corners and whatnot, but I want to start off with a little bit of positivity surrounding specifically David Raya, I should say. He prefers to be called David rather than David. And that is giving some flowers to our little twisted Raya starter. Sam Dean had something to say about this, which I thought was quite interesting. There's a report in the Telegraph that he's posted about it. You should go over and check it out. But essentially, I'll give you the snapshot of what he said. He said, David Raya has made some astonishing saves this season. 4 of them have maintained Arsenal's lead in tight matches. He has effectively preserved 8 of Arsenal's points in the Premier League title race, which is absolutely fudging huge. I mean, I don't think we can say much more about him at this time. I mean, I don't really want to go sort of jinx that. But I just thought it was a good piece, something to go and check out if you can. And something that maybe, I don't know about you guys, but during that Chelsea game, sometimes if you're anything like me, sometimes you just don't notice things, right? Because you're too busy sat there going, oh my God, this is an absolute chuffing disaster. And effectively, I didn't really have the time to praise that. Oh, excuse me. Bear with me 1 second, please. Let us just go.
This broadcast has been interrupted due to technical difficulties likely caused by a cat. Normal programming should resume shortly.
And we're back. We are back. We are live. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Some technical difficulties in the background. As I said earlier, effectively, it's a bit of a learning curve here at the Big Ass Breakfast Show. Someone needs to sack our producer because I don't think they're learning quite quickly enough how to produce a show. So, back to the point at hand, David Wright. Yeah, look, he was amazing. And as I was saying, if you're anything like me, when the nervousness creeps in, the anxiety, which seems to be creeping in all around, especially in the stadium. So I'm hearing from my mates that are going and seeing the games. You don't always quite take the time to think, what's actually happened in that game? And I thought that piece from Sam Dean was excellent. That's all I wanted to say, really. There was a further bit of praise, which came from Joe Hart on Match of the Day. And again, you've probably seen the clip doing the rounds. If not, go and check it out. It is on all over socials. You can find it on YouTube. You can go watch Match of the Day if you want. I mean, I haven't actually watched Match of the Day for about 15 years. I mean, the pundits now, really? It's about passion. But I did like what Joe Hart had to say of the Goalkeepers Union, and I thought it was quite interesting. He said he analyzes a couple of pieces of the corners routine. One in particular was the supposed Declan Rice handball. I'm not going to go into that because, as I said yesterday, do any of us really know what handball is anymore? I don't. He said he's not looking for any help from the referee. Bosh. He's not looking for any help from the referee. He's just looking to get himself in the best possible position to make a save. Joe Hart continued, look how many bodies are around him, but not one point does he look for the perfect save. He's not in a good position, and bang, out of nowhere, gives everything. Every single fiber in his body is making that save, which was excellent. I mean, he then went on to analyze the clip from the in-swinging cross, which he saved. He said on his positioning, particularly the save from Garnacho's cross, he said it was outstanding, effectively. And again, I don't know if you're anything like me, but that particular action, I mean, did that not have us all filling our pants with whiff juice as it swung in? Because you've seen those so many times before. Oh my God, you just think that's getting a toe poking in. I just felt like on another day, maybe that goes in. Right. Let's get on to the controversy. Peter Schmeichel. I'm going to play a clip. Have a listen to this.
That's not in the spirit of the game. All the goals we've seen now, all the pushing and shoving and pulling players down. I think we need to get onto the referees now and say, this has got to stop. Now, every time it happens, give a goal kick or a free kick and start over so we stop it. Because it's not, I mean, that's not in the spirit of the game. It isn't. And it's literally, you got like 6, 7, 8 fouls on every corner kick we see. And it's not good. It's not.
Okay. Where to begin? Now, I've seen a lot of people online talking about this. To a certain degree, I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with Peter Schmeichel, but what I would say is that a point that Gunnerblog mentioned on yesterday's Arscast. If for any reason you're not listening to the Arscast, what are you doing? Gunnerblog made the point which I agree with, and I also mentioned yesterday, was that those corners are becoming almost unrefereeable. That there's so much happening in those actions that PGMOL have left themselves in a bit of a predicament because they've said they're going to crack down on all these holding and grabs and takes and whatnot, and it seems to be at random to the degree in which they decide that they're going to do that. Now, the handball from Declan Rice's side, we can have that debate, absolutely. But even in that action on that corner routine that I mentioned before from the Raya save, there's a freeze frame of that where if you look at every paired up player, they are all of them, every single one of them, pulling, tugging, and wrestling each other. I think you could probably have stopped that one corner routine alone and had VAR just pick over that until they found something. And to a certain extent, I do agree that for referees, that's really, really difficult. On yesterday's show, I mentioned that on the continent, I think Arsenal's corner routines, from what I can remember, I know we scored one against Bayern, but Arsenal's corner routines are not as effective because a referee normally blows up as the ball's being floated in. He spotted or picked one action and he just blows. I'm not getting into this. I'm just cancelling this corner. And they do it time and time again. And I think that's the referee's way of absolving themselves and VAR from having the responsibility of having to sift through it all. I mean, it really has to be an incredibly clean corner routine for you to have any chance of scoring a goal from. And that will reduce the chances of scoring a goal. Let's face it. I mean, you're effectively jostling and wrestling people out of position. And it seems to me that in the Champions League, referees just go, not having it, blow up, and we move on. And the players seem to sort of accept it. I really feel like that's what's going to happen next in the Premier League. I don't know how they're going to resolve that. Now, to the point that Peter Schmeichel has said, it's ruining the game. Oh my God, it's ruining the game. Goals are ruining the game? Really? Goals are ruining the game. I'm not having that. I'm not having that. By all means, put forth a way that we can solve this potential problem. Make it fairer. I quite like, I'm not going to lie, I haven't thought this through. I quite like the posited idea that they've been talking about the hockey match kind of equivalent from a corner routine or the penalty routines where it's a limited number of players around the box or in the area. I wonder if corner routines would get smarter with more space, might mean ball stays on the deck a little bit more. So again, I'm not sold on it, but it's quite, I like new ideas. I'm not sure if it works. I'd like to see it, I'd like to see something like that. But at the same time, why not jostle for goals? Why not just leave it as it is? And just, the bar for a foul has to be much higher. I think in general in the game, the bar for a foul has to be much higher. I mean, I'm opening up a massive can of worms here, but some of the fouls that get given on the pitch, the slight tap in the back, the Gabriel one that we got away with against Spurs, I think we did get away with that. It's pretty light, isn't it? Players feel, even the pundits say silly things like, well, he's got a nick there. He's touched him slightly. He's got every right to go down. No, he doesn't. That never used to happen, did it? Well, it did. So I don't really know. But what I will say is Peter Schmeichel moaning about it doesn't help at all because ultimately, mate, you are almost seldomly responsible for the end of the back pass rule, or for the introduction of the back pass rule. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I think it was the Euros 1992 final against Germany where they time wasted so often because at that time, as you may recall, goalkeeper could pick the ball up, right? And I reckon they must have wasted about 10 minutes of the game with just passing it back to Schmeichel, and he would wait, and then someone comes shutting down, then he'd pick it up, and then he'd throw it back to the defender would pass it back to him. So come on, get off your high horse, mate. Stop complaining about that. You knew about all the dark arts. And you had referees in your pockets. So let's not be talking about ruining the game, shall we? The spirit of the game. Come on now. So yeah, on the one hand, maybe there needs to be a bit of a review about it. On the other hand, I want to see goals. Don't we all want to see goals? Okay, moving on. So, oh dear. Okie dokie. Let's have a little chat about Piss Glutton. Piss Glutton has said, oh boy, set piece again. I think they're going to win it. If they get over the line, will they be the ugliest Premier League winning team in history? Okay, look. Let me just read that again. Set piece again. I think they're going to win it. If they get over the line, will they be the ugliest Premier League winning team in history? He also went on to say, which I thought was one of his most salient points, if I'm honest with you. Probably the best thing he said. Now, I'd like to add to this at this point that set pieces have obviously been quite the staple of this year's Premier League. Again, spoke briefly about this on yesterday's show. And it is evident to me and anyone with a fucking brain who watches football that the Premier League, which is being labelled the worst Premier League title race in history, has gotten way, way, way more tactical. Way more tactical. The standards have gone up. The so-called smaller clubs and mid-team clubs are closing the gap talent-wise. Their recruitment's better. Their coaching is better. Their setups are better. Their use of sports science and statistics is way better. And they are maximizing every single drop of every penny that they've got. And the teams that don't manage to do that are threatened with relegation, i.e., Tottenham and West Ham and Nottingham Forest. Um, so the point being is that set pieces are, like it or not, one of the statistically favorable methods of opening up teams to goals. This is why the long throw, as we've seen, has become so effective, because it is more statistically probable to score a goal from the second action, second phase of a long throw in than it is to try and throw it to one of your mates, pass it around the box for 10 minutes, try and find an opening. And that's why we're seeing a change. I mean, you don't have to like it, but you have to accept it, because that's how the game's gone. Because everyone is much better at doing their jobs. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea yesterday, they are on paper an inferior team, a younger team, a less experienced team, but they were incredibly well organised, to the point that even with 10 men, they managed to retain the ball. Now, I know you'll be shouting, yeah, but we were shitting ourselves. Maybe we were, but we were doing that because they were holding the ball incredibly well and playing well. So set pieces are pretty much here to stay. And it's not only Arsenal that are doing it. And more to the point, this chat around us, we hadn't scored a corner in 8 games. And yet we are set piece Arsenal again. We hadn't scored from a corner in 8 games leading up to Sunday's match against Chelsea. We're also not top of the set piece charts for goals scored. That's Liverpool this season. Liverpool now top. They've scored more goals from set pieces than us. And also, thirdly, we are second in the Premier League for open play goals, only behind the great and wonderful Manchester City. So again, it doesn't half feel a little bit like Arsenal, bad, everyone else, good. Oh yeah, everyone else so good. It's Arsenal. Oh no, I've lost it. And Chris Sutton, I mean, look, this guy, I swear, he's the sort of bloke who bins his kids' birthday cards, homemade birthday cards, doesn't put them on the fridge. Like, oh, that's nice. He probably doesn't even say that. Rips them straight up and in the bin. And it's just rage bait. It's just rage bait. And then, look, here we go. I am aware of the irony. It's got me raged, but not to the point where I'm going to ring in BBC and have a go at him about it. I have to say, I'm a little bit disappointed with the Beeb taking that kind of route. I wouldn't say they've gone full talk sport, but it is a bit annoying. I mean, I think again, to reference the Ask, I know Gunner Blog had mentioned that this is the persona that he takes up, and that he's probably a very nice man, and people like, and then that's great. That's great. Isn't that lovely? But if you're just offering toxic comments for cash, I'd have to say, I don't have a great deal of respect for you. If that's the life that you choose, that all you're going to do is try and wind up a fan base so that you can get them on the show, or you can drive up your engagement, I don't think the world needs it. I really, really don't think the world needs it. I mean, we've already got enough to deal with when it comes to TalkSport. I mean, TalkSport is basically 10 times worse. Nobody should engage with that, really. You see those clips are like, oh, right, Arsenal fans, what are you saying? Everyone's saying that basically you're all a bunch of knobs and your mums are ugly. Give us a call on 08444 twats. Calls cost 50p a minute. Yeah, I bet calls cost 50p a minute. And basically all I can say to that is just don't buy into it. Don't buy into it. Ignore it. Stay away from it. Let me come on here and complain about it. Right. On the back of our discussion about set pieces, Gulliblog, again, thrice mentioned on the show this morning. He has a piece in The Athletic, and apparently Nicholas Yova has a set piece goal bonus clause, which Gunnerblog goes on to say, a smart piece of negotiating, and after a record equaling 16th goal from a corner, AFC will be paying out gladly. Now, excuse me. I mean, I'd love that as a KPI. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Wouldn't that be brilliant? And it makes sense, doesn't it? It's just like the most logical thing you can do. For every goal one of your set pieces scores, um, we'll give you some money. Brilliant. Take that. The only thing I'd be slightly worried about is if he starts getting David Raya pumping long balls from inside our own half into the area rather than playing any sort of build-up play whatsoever. Because let's be honest, we need to practice a little bit of our quick build-up play, don't we? He might be like, from every goal kick, go long, go long. Yeah, just go long. Head it on, go long. That's a set piece. We'll have it. But yeah, look, as far as I'm concerned, that is a reward and goal bonus that I very much champion. Um, in other news, now I'm gonna have a little chat about some of the new rules that have been posited. Only a little bit. We'll zip through them because you never know what IFAB are actually going to do. They're probably not going to bring in any of them, or they'll test them, then give up, and blah blah blah. But one of the ones that I really liked and have championed for a long time is the so-called Arsene Wenger rule. So the Football Terrorists have reported Arsene Wenger's new offside rule has been approved and will be used in the Canadian Premier League. A player will only be offside if he has fully passed the last defender. So it won't be decided based on a body part anymore. And I have to say, again, on the one hand, I absolutely want to see this. 100% want to see this. I think daylight has always been the best measure of doing it. Now, there are some that will say, well, the lines will come out again to see if the toe is in line with the toe and all that sort of stuff. Yes, but I think it gives a clear indication. I also think it will much more help the linesman. I think it favors attacking play. We want to see goals. How many times, like with the naked eye, it's not that easy to see an offside, I have to say. I mean, I think we're all in agreement with that. But I think with daylight, it will help fans in the stadium. It will help the linesman. It will probably help VAR. And I think if you've got a run on your defender, if you've just stolen, how many times do we see the goals scored where the player is running that way and the defender is there, but this is considered offside because this little bit is in an offside position, but his feet aren't. Let's do it by feet. Always do it by feet. Now, I really want to see this. I hope it goes well in the Canadian League. But the other thing that does make me slightly aware is because of that attacking advantage, will teams sit even deeper? Because I think they probably will. And are we going to inadvertently create the ultimate low block monster? Will it be like, I don't know, the Berlin Wall of football matches? There will be just, bosh, sat in their own half, no chance of breaking high lines, all that sort of stuff. I can only say at this stage, watch this space. Watch this space. But it'd be interesting to see, wouldn't it? Could be good. Some of those other laws, I'm sure you've read them. IFAB are going to be reviewing some other pieces. Now, I'm just going to zip through some of these because I'd imagine most of you probably will see them, but I thought some of them were quite interesting. Number one is the so-called Vinícius Law. No hiding. Players can now be yellow carded for covering their mouths while confronting opponents to stop hidden verbal abuse. Yeah, 100%. 100%. And I would say, I mean, it's a shame it's come to that. It's a real shame it's come to that. I mean, that incident from Vinícius the other night, it was, I mean, I know, yeah, we have to see what he actually said. But I mean, whatever he said, he absolutely pussied out by covering his mouth by doing it. And I think it's such chicken shit behavior. The whole thing was disgusting, really. And with that on top of it, I think a law like that, I think I champion it. A protest ban. Players or teams who walk off the field in protest without referee permission will face an automatic yellow card. I didn't know this was a problem. I haven't seen that. Have you? Get in the comments. Let me know. I don't know if this is something that happens a bit more on the continent. I can't think of a time where players in the Premier League have walked off in protest. I don't know if is that a problem that needs solving. You tell me. If so, then yeah. VAR is getting more power. Oh dear. VAR is getting more power. Corner kicks. VAR can now overturn a clearly wrong corner kick decision. Yes, I'm all for it if you do it quickly. Don't fuck around with it. Don't waste fans' time. Don't waste everyone sat at home, everyone in the stadium, like twiddling your thumbs. Just do it quickly, overturn it. It should be easy. I don't have any faith in PGMOL to do that right. Second yellows. For the first time, VAR can intervene if a player is sent off for an incorrect second yellow card. Yes, yes, definitely. But again, the worry is how much are we going to scrutinize whether something's a second yellow or not? I mean, this oh, that worries me. Identity theft. VAR will step in. The referee gives a card to the wrong player or punishes the wrong team or clones their online Twitter account. No, I'm joking. VAR will step in and the referee gives a. Yeah, of course. Of course. Yeah. Kieran Gibbs and the Ox comes to mind. Yeah, makes sense. The war on time racing. 5-second countdown. Referees can now start a literal 5-second countdown for throw ins. If you miss the window, the ball goes to the other team. Now, look, there's a problem with throw ins. I don't think it's much talked about. I don't think a throw in actually is often to your advantage. Going back to what we talked about with the set piece throw ins becoming more favorable. The reason why people are doing also because you have a man off the pitch, right? So you've effectively got someone off the pitch, which means the 11 men on the pitch have an extra player. That's why it takes eight. Okay, I know that Arsenal like to spend 75 minutes in prep for taking a throw on. I know we've got this new coach coming in, and maybe that will change for quicker turnovers, but I know that we like to take our time and try and create a level of anxiety and confusion for the opposing team, but it doesn't seem to work. So I'm all for the quick throw-in, but I don't think throw-ins are that easy to take. You're a man down, effectively. So that's a difficult one. Sprint off. Substitutions must be completed in 10 seconds. If a player dawdles, the sub has to wait on the sideline for 1 minute, leaving the team with 10 minutes. Look, again, with the throw-ins, really, and with players getting off the pitch, the ultimate solution is just have a stop clock. Let's just do it like they do in the United States. I know at first it would be weird to get used to. I know it would be annoying to watch a clock stop, start, stop, start. But ultimately, if the match is, I think David Dean spoke about this a couple of years ago, which was championing the idea of 30-minute halves, which effectively would be way longer, much more football. Because at the moment, I think I don't have the stat in front of me. Forgive me, I should have prepped that. But I think at the moment, the average ball in play time is something like 45 minutes for a whole 90. Stop clock would solve that. And also it takes out of the referee's hands the time added on. We'd never complain about time added on anymore because there wouldn't be any. Yeah, there's also IFAB are officially trialing a coach's challenge system where managers can trigger their own video reviews. Yeah, I'm all for that. Okay. As long as it doesn't interrupt the game too much. Sounds fine to me. Okay. Well, so now we've approached the part of the show that we want you to get involved. And the Big Ass Breakfast Show, we want you to get involved. Again, it's at Big Ass Breakfast on TikTok, at Big Ass Breakfast on Insta, at Big Ass Brekkie, Brekkie on X, and Blue Sky's there somewhere. But this is the part of the show where we need you to get involved. Come and hit us up with your big ass opinions. Apart from the two penalties you gave away, I thought that stuff was
Way too dry.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the sound of that big floated air biscuit can only mean one thing. It is time for your big ass opinions. Now, obviously, we want you to get involved, but in the meantime, if you're feeling a bit shy, that's fine. I've scoured around the internet to have a little look at what's being said in the Gooniverse. I'm going to start with this one from Guillaume Balaguer, which was, I think this was late Sunday night. It says, it is fascinating to hear and read the high standards demanded of the teams that are top of the table in England. Arsenal have to win, but doing it with set pieces does not seem enough. Not so long ago, when City got praised for the way they won games and titles, the word was that all that mattered was winning, not how to win. It is as if there is a hidden desire to undermine those that win, those at the top. Do you recognize the feeling? Yes, Gillum, we fucking do. X Factor at Fraggy_Mill said, what is stopping the other 19 teams from playing fluid, entertaining, high-scoring games? I'm going to read that again. What is stopping the other 19 teams from playing fluid, entertaining, high-scoring games? Precisely. It is across the league. It is not just the Gunners who are top of the league currently. Wellbeast, I'm sure you know Wellbeast. He said 138 corners have been scored so far in the Premier League this season, but it's the 16 scored by Arsenal that's ruining the game. Yeah, exactly. And then at Mr. Irbt or MRIRBT, on Twitter said, the non-reaction to Burn doing the same thing Martinelli did, the praise for set-piece Kings Liverpool, the Man City officiating last night, are people starting to wake up? Yeah, interesting point. The Dan Burn thing, I'm not sure if you saw it in the Everton game between Newcastle. He picked up a player who was injured and tried to throw him off the pitch, a la Martinelli. Martinelli got pelters for it, obviously, because Conor Bradley had ruptured his ACL, which to this day, Martinelli did not know he'd done. We know that, but he got... Gary Neville said, I'm going to punch him. You should go and whack him. I'd get a red card for that. I would champion violence against Martinelli for that. Not the same thing happens to Dan Burn. Now, admittedly, Dan Burn, I can't remember which play he took off. Probably didn't rupture his ACL, but yeah, no one mentions it. Picking up another player, it happens all the time. Right.
Instant karma take of the day.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the instant karma take of the day. If you're listening via podcast, this is very much a visual gag based on the spelling of karma being C-A-L-M-A. Kalma, as in calm, not karma, but that's the pun. And you only get it if you're watching on YouTube. But the instant karma take of the day comes from Lola at Cute Niger, which is beating Spurs and Chelsea in the title run is a significant statement of intent. Do not be gaslighted by rival fans and the media. If Manchester City did this, they would have been hyped up to high heavens. Yes, they would. They 100% would. I can imagine if Man City were just doing set pieces over and over again, etc., etc., they'd be like, look at the way they found another way, revolutionary football from Pep, etc., etc. The point being there, as Lola said, don't get gaslighted by the fans and media. Right, and this is not my tinfoil hat. I'm not saying they're out to get us. All the, you know how the algorithm works. It pumps up the most rage-baity stuff. I'm not saying there's a massive agenda against us, although I am slightly saying there is a little bit of an agenda, and we are a hated club, but don't be gaslit. Stay cool, calm, and collected whilst we try and march on towards some glory this year. Now, tomorrow is game day. Now, on the Big Ask Breakfast Show, we're going to ask you to send in your team talks. You can do that via @BigAskBreakfast on TikTok, @BigAskBreakfast on Insta, @BigAskBreaky on X, and Blue Sky @BigAskBreakfast.bsky.social. What I want to see, what we want to see from you is what you would say to the Arsenal team before Brighton. It can be anything like, it can be a rousing speech, it can be a bollocking, it can be inspirational, motivational. Get them in. We want to hear it. There's a segment on tomorrow's show called Big Ask Team Talks. So get involved. We'll also go through a sort of predicted lineup, what the Big Ask Breakfast Show would like to see, maybe. Probably some more bollocks from the media, if I'm honest with you. Like and subscribe if you can be asked. It would be nice. It really helps the show. Please like and subscribe if you can be asked. But whatever you do, get your arse in gear for today. We'll see you tomorrow.